Opponent sends out Skeledirge, Vince pivots into Sealio, drawing out Raichu. The opponent with only one Protect Shield, too high behind Vince, full sends the Water Pulse. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. The Water Pulse buff coming in clutch. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very fun battle submission from my good friend and fellow PvP admin Vince. Vince is going to be showcasing today one of the spammiest teams you can possibly run in the Open Great League. When you think of speed, an annoying Pokemon that spam charge moves at a rate of knots, of course Swampert comes to mind. All three of today's Pokemon have 35 energy charge moves, meaning they can all keep pace with Swampert. Actually, that's a lie. The only Pokemon that can't outpace Swampert on the team is Sealio, as it takes 10 turns, then 8 turns respectively to the Body Slam, the same as Swampert. Gallade is straight 8 turns to the Leaf Blade. And the Hippo is actually 9, 9, 9, then 8, which means it's actually slightly quicker than Swampert. Of course, each trainer only gets 2 Protect Shields, and with this really spammy team, you're going to be in a real mess as you can't shield everything. Before we get into today's video, Vince actually did send me a laptop, and there's some exciting news coming to the channel. We've got OBS Studio set up. We're very, very close to streaming, so look forward to some streams you're going to see on YouTube from me. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, Vince is a victim of the algorithm, leading Shadow Sealio into Shadow Tyranitar. Very nice spice from the opponent, but certainly not what we want to see. We see the save switch into Hippowdon. We land the Scorching Sands on the counter switch of Poliwrath. This opponent runs Ice Punch, which is cheaper and not particularly great for us either. However, Vince, undeterred, sends out Gallade, able to win the charge move priority event, landing the Leaf Blade, securing the knockout without having to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent sends back out Tyranitar. What the heck is that running? I believe that's Iron Tail. What is going on? Vince forced to Protect Shield with the Leaf Blade as the opponent isn't running Legacy Smackdown. Vince, recognising Sealio isn't that bad, pivots back out into the big fat seal, and we're met with Galarian Stunfist. The opponent shows no respect to the new buffed Water Pulse, and that actually does a lot of damage. Sealio has always been one of my favourite Pokemon to run in the Great League. However, it's always been such a one-trick pony, relying on that Body Slam spam, as our second charge moves with Aurora Beam and the Water Pulse before it got buffed were just awful. However, this season Sealio certainly is coming into its own. You can see its bulk there. We tank the Rock Slide. The opponent sends back out Tyranitar, get the Iron Tail farm down. However, the super spammy Gallade can have no problem shielding up this incoming charge move, reaching the Leaf Blade, and we're going to outspam opponent number 1 and take that game. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we lead Shadow Sealio into Jumpluff. Jumpluff's grass, flying type in, not going to appreciate our ice type damage. The opponent stay in, and this essentially is where Vince wants to see it, as our backline is weak to both grass and flying. Sealio fires off the Body Slam, forcing us early shield advantage. Vince going to invest the Protect Shield, fearful of the opponent throwing the Energy Ball. The opponent full send the Energy Ball and then pivot out into Registeel. Vince banks a boatload of energy and then sends out the Hungry Hippo. Hippowdon, even as a Shadow, has respectable bulk. The opponent throw the Focus Blast. The Hippo withstands the damage and is looking to get big damage off on this stupid tin can. We full send the Scorching Sands. The opponent shows no respect. Registeel gets Sand Attack farm down. Get that tin can off my screen. We even leave with the Rock type Weather Ball ready to chuck at the returning Jumpluff. The Rock type Weather Ball forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. They do get a very nice Bullet Seed farm down. We now send out Gallade. Even an Aerial Ace would do absurd damage as Shadow Gallade cannot tank a hit for shit. The opponent actually full send the Acrobatics, then pivot out into the silly Electric Fish. But Lanturn, today is not going to be your day. Vince farms up, throws the Leaf Blade, doing massive damage. Vince going to fire off Leaf Blade number 2, which is going to get this silly Electric Fish off my screen. We then pivot out into Sealio. With a whole heap of energy bank, we fire off the Body Slam, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Sealio into Golisopod. This is definitely where we want to see it. Golisopod's going to do quite well into the entirety of our team. However, the combination of Sealio's bulk and Body Slam spam is going to put up a real fight in the lead, despite our quick move of Powder Snow hitting for resisted. Vince looks to fire off the Body Slam, but loses CMP. The opponent fires off the X-Scissor. Sealio, incredibly thick, easily withstands the damage, returns fire with the Body Slam, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. The opponent then farms up, once again throwing on the CMP type, but Vince recognising we can either win lead or force both Protect Shields. Invest the Protect Shield, returns fire with the Body Slam. Body Slam spam has now put the opponent all shields down. We see the aggressive pivot into the Hippo. Vince gonna call the X's a bait. The opponent full send the Liquidation. Hippowdon near gets one shot, and we even die with the Rock type Weather Ball. Oof, we're in trouble. Vince now putting all his hopes and dreams on a one-shield Gallade, but Vince quickly giving up that shield advantage on the incoming X-Scissor. The opponent sends out Charger Bug, and unfortunately this is going to be a loss. We can only hit for resisted. The resisted close combat does do massive damage, but unfortunately nowhere near one-shots. The opponent takes us out with the X-Scissor. Sealio is going to get Volt Switch farmed down, and we are going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. The tough leads continue. Poliwrath, not what Sealio or the Hippo want to see, but Vince opts to pivot into Hippowdon where the counters are only hitting for neutral. The opponent only throws the Icy Wind. Vince, trusting his IVs, the Hippo able to withstand the damage and return fire with the Scorching Sands. A debuff Scorching Sands doesn't do all that much damage, but we do get the attack drop. Vince, unwilling to take the super effective counter damage on Sealio, opts to send out Gallade. Despite the opponent getting a very nice counter farm down, Gallade still able to keep pace, with Poliwrath winning the charge move priority event. The opponent invests that protection and Vince will be shielding in return. The opponent give us the full Psycho Cut farm down. Gallade has a massive amount of energy. The opponent sends out Skeledirge. We pivot into the Sealio, drawing out Alolan Raichu. The opponent still one Protect Shield too high behind Vince. Full sends the Water Pulse. The opponent show no respect. Near get one shot. The opponent doesn't even get off a charge move. Back out comes Skeledirge. Vince looking to reach the next Water Pulse. We throw on alignment, giving the opponent a free Incinerate. Not the best timing, Vince, buddy, I'm going to be honest. It's now all down to Gallade. Gallade can only hit Skeledirge for resisted. The first Leaf Blade looks very close to the 50% of the remaining health. The opponent's now doubled up on charge moves. However, we have the Leaf Blade bank. Vince wins the charge move priority event. Is this Leaf Blade enough to knock out? Oof, no it isn't. And the opponent is going to win a very close game. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Shadow Abomasnow in the lead. Despite them being a grass type and us being a water type, our sub-ice typings mean we're hitting for neutral and the opponent is hitting for double resisted with the quick moves. Vince correctly shields up the energy ball, returns fire with the body slam. Body slam does quite a lot to Abomasnow. I used Abomasnow yesterday and it is so glassy. The opponent then send out Wish Daddy Cash. Vince gonna tank the Mud Bomb and I imagine we pivot into Gallade, as Gallade is going to outspeed Wish Cash to the charge move. It looks like we actually got a one-turn switch there. Whenever the opponent throws a charge move, you usually get a zero-turn switch, but this game is broken. We all know that. Vince tanks the Mud Bomb, returns fire with the Leaf Blade. After we tank that charge move, I would have liked to see Vince overfarm and leave with more residual energy, but it is what it is. Out comes Mantine. Vince fires off the neutral Leaf Blade, doing a solid chunk of chip damage to Mantine. We then send out Hippowdon. Hippowdon does need to be fearful of a potential Ice Beam or Water Pulse. Vince looks to call the bait. The opponent does master bait like an absolute potato. Vince now grinning ear to ear, returns fire with the rock type Weather Ball. We then go for the wham bam combo play, pivot out into Sealio, fire off the body slam. The opponent then send back at Abomasnow, but Sealio gonna do what Sealio does best and spam out body slam after body slam. As I said previously, you can see Abomasnow does not tank these body slams particularly well. The opponent throws one before the next energy ball. Vince is counting absolutely on point. Known as only a resisted Weather Ball Ice, withstands the damage, leaves with the body slam, and the body slam spammer is going to pick up the dub. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Sealio into Mantine. This is exactly where the team wants to see it. The opponent builds up some energy, then send out Wish Daddy Cash. Vince opts to throw the Water Pulse, which I think is a misplay. We could have just pivoted straight out into Gallade. A Leaf Blade does 120.2%, so definitely one-shots from full health, regardless of any crazy IV spread the opponent might be running. It looks like Vince recognises his mistake, just takes shield advantage. He now sends back out Sealio, looking to regain the energy that he unnecessarily chucked at this Mud Boy. The opponent fires off the Mud Bomb. Sealio looking for the full Powder Snow farm down, which we get. We do leave absolutely loaded, but we're now left deep into the red. The opponent sends back out Mantine, and Sealio is going to start unleashing the body slam spam. The first one lands, doing a solid amount of chip damage. Vince with 2 Protect Shields, going to start investing them here. We shield up the Aerial Ace. Sealio almost at another 2 body slams. This energy generation is just ridiculous. The next body slam goes unshielded, but Sealio says there's plenty more of where that came from. Reaches yet another body slam, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, then to the pivot into Hippowdon. Hippowdon does need to be fearful of a potential Ice Beam or Water Pulse. Vince correctly shields up the Ice Beam. The opponent then pivots out into Feraligatr. Is Scorching Sands enough to knock out Shadow on Shadow Crime? No, it isn't. Can we get the Sand Attack farm down? Unfortunately, we cannot. Feraligatr takes us out with the Hydro Cannon, and we're going to get Shadow Claw farm down and take a loss. However, I think with some better decision making and energy management, we would have had a much better chance of winning that game, heading into the next battle. Oh, hello Altaria, nice to see you nice. The opponent say switches into Shadow Vic, and this is a nightmare for our team. Vince stays in, fires off the body slam, forcing us early shield advantage, then pivot out into Gallade. Gallade getting torn apart by the Razor Leaves. Vince goes straight for the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade double resisted. Doesn't get the job done, but Gallade just about gets the Psycho Cut farm down at the cost of almost all our HP. The opponent sends out Defense Deoxys, looking for the resisted counter farm down, but Gallade able to reach the departing Leaf Blade, landing for some solid chip damage. Vince now sends out the Hippo. Vince with 2 Protect Shields, going to invest one on the incoming Psycho Boost, and we need to be careful of the opponent, looking for the Scorching Sands catch. As I say that, the opponent tries their luck, but Vince says, not today, buddy, sees it coming in and fires off the super effective Rock-type Weather Ball. Hippowdon so spammy, already at next Weather Ball, forces the opponent's final protection, then pivot into Sealio. Sealio able to outspeed Altaria, reach the Body Slam secures the knockout. Defense Deoxys going to get a very nice counter farm down. However, Hippowdon still with 1 Protect Shield, too high behind Vince, going to shield up the first move. The opponent throw the Psycho Boost, which now lowers their own attack by 2 stages. Hippowdon's bulk going to be put to the test. Is Psycho Boost enough to knock out? No, it isn't. The Hippo withstands the damage, reaches the Scorching Sands, and Vince is going to take the dub. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Sealio into Shadow Machamp. Holy crap. Abort. Vince instantly pivots into Hippowdon and is met with Dugong. Typing advantage with the opponent, but our rock type coverage going to come in clutch. It looks like 2 rock type Weather Balls do secure the knockout. However, Dugong is able to reach the Icy Wind before we reach our second. Vince just completely sacks the Hippo, opts to send out Sealio, and this is a very nice opportunity to heavily overfarm and look to force some shields off the returning Machamp. Once again, you can see Sealio's bulk coming in clutch. That drill run didn't even do half of our health. We easily survived 2. I think Shadow Sealio is an absolute monster this season. Now we've got a good second charge move. Its combination of bulk and very nice coverage comes in clutch. The opponent aggressively pivot into Machamp. Sealio fires off the Body Slam, forcing a protection, then pivot out into Gallade. Gallade able to reach the Leaf Blade. Is Machamp willing to invest that final Protect Shield? No, they're not. Get that Machamp out of here. The opponent's final Pokemon is Carbink, and Gallade looking absolutely primed to sweep this team. Vince heavily over farms, fires off the first Leaf Blade, which goes unshielded. The opponent needs to start shielding something, but you can't shield everything. Gallade fires off the next Leaf Blade, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, but we're already double up. Get that Carbink off my screen. Back out comes Dugong. We Psycho Cut farm down and take that game. Giving Gallade Psycho Cut was honestly the best move update Niantic has ever did. It is so spammy. In the next battle, we see Sealio into a Razor Leaf Lurantis. I think Lurantis is objectively better on Fury Cutter. If you want to use a grass type quick move, I'd highly recommend Leafage. We see the pivot into Gallade. Gallade fires off the close combat. The opponent looks to 2 shield their lead, and this Lurantis is quite literally running through our team. Vince shields up the Leaf Blade, looks to reach the Body Slam, but the opponent make a very nice catch, saving the Lurantis and catching the Body Slam onto Skeledirge, where of course it is double resisted. It's now Hippowdon with a shield, looking to 1v3 this opponent's entire team. We're now going to be even investing the final protection on the incoming Flamethrower. This opponent running some mad movesets. Vince heavily over farms, fires off the rock type Weather Ball. Weather Ball will secure the knockout. We've got one banked. Back out comes Lurantis. Vince not wanting to take any Razor Leaf damage, knocks it out instantly with the Weather Ball. Show me something. We can one-shot. Water Gun Quag certainly isn't that Pokemon, and we're going to lose to some very interesting early season spice. GG's to that opponent. Poor old Sealio, not winning too many leads. Lanturn, certainly not what we want to see. We see the pivot into Hippowdon. The opponent build up some energy, then send out Dugong. I really wouldn't recommend that play. Giving Hippowdon a huge energy lead isn't the best idea, as these rock type Weather Balls come so fast. The second one forces a Protect Shield. The opponent then play to the CMP tie. They do not win. Shout out to my factions teammate, the GOAT Homeslice Henry for that quote. Hippowdon manages to force both Protect Shields in the mid game, and things have suddenly gone from dreadful to looking fantastic. Vince can send out Sealio, look to operate as the damage sponge and give Gallade a 2-0 shield advantage in the end game. The opponent throws the world's most ridiculous Icy Wind I've ever seen. That bait was just dreadful. We was never going to shield that charge move as the opponent had Lanturn. And of course shouldn't masturbate anyway, because every time you masturbate, a poor defenseless cat loses its life. The opponent this time recognised Drill Run is the way to go. Throw the Drill Run, then aggressively pivot back out into the silly electric fish, and it is Gallade time. Gallade fires off the Leaf Blade. The opponent farms up to the double surf. Vince is going to have to shield both, however we are going to leave with so much energy. Vince, no pressure buddy, but if you lose this battle to a player who throws a double resisted Icy Wind at a full health Sealio, I'm actually going to remove you from my friends list. Gallade gets the huge Psycho Cut farm down. The opponent sends back out Dugong. Vince, taking no chances, throws the Leaf Blade, knocking out Dugong. Show me something we can one-shot. The opponent's final Pokemon is Altaria, of course. Not great for Gallade, but this close combat still does decent chip damage, then pivot back out into the super spammy Seal. We've got the double body slam bank. The first one isn't quite lethal, but luckily we've got body slam number 2, and Vince survives on my friends list. Although I'm not really sure that's a good thing, as I never send gifts, but he is going to remain there regardless. Moving on to the next one. We've got some bonus battles with a slightly different team. We've now got Hippowdon running 2 moves that only cost 35 energy, with Body Slam and Rock-type Weather Ball respectively, and Sealio has been benched for this season's new dominant Water-type top meta threat, Shadow Alligator. And in Game 1, Hippowdon, despite not having Scorching Sands, able to gain shield advantage against Regalgi in the lead. Vince takes his shield advantage, sends out Gallade, but Gallade, so insanely glassy, respects the Aqua Tail and gets a 1 Psycho Cut running start. An argument could have been made to send out for Alligator where we wouldn't have needed to shield the Aqua Tail up, but hold that thought, the opponent must be so weak to Gallade. They send out Whiscash. Whiscash is straight in and straight out. The opponent's final Pokemon is Primeape, and it looks like for Alligator isn't going to get any screen time in game number 1. Leaf Blade forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. We fire off the close combat, which is going to be massive overkill, and Gallade sweeps the team. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Licky far too thicky. The opponents do us a huge favour, pivoting out into Swampert, and Swampert is going to be greeted by the wrath of Gallade. The opponent choosing to vest Protect Shields, and let me tell you, if you're Swampert, this is not a game you want to be playing. The opponent full send an Earthquake. I have no idea what's going on. Why wouldn't you throw the Hydro Cannon? Gallade cannot tank a hit for shit. Vince could have overfarmed more. The opponent now send out Carbink. Trainer, do you want to get swept by Gallade? Vince opts to throw the close combat, which only hits for neutral, but regardless is still going to 2-shot. Vince fires off close combat. Number 2, get that Carbink off my screen. Vince now looking to pivot out into Alligator. I was going to say in the intro, Licky, far too thicky, is going to be very problematic for this team due to its ability to beat all 3 of our Pokemon. However, the opponent opted to give up Switch, and it looks like they've not only rage quit the app, they've probably uninstalled the game, never to play ever again. Why would you Earthquake Gallade? Sometimes I struggle to commentate and I really have no words, but regardless, Vince takes a very funny dub. GG's. Of course, the opponent is running an ABB team where they're double weak to grass, so we understand the pivot. However, the opponent's execution was quite poor. In the next battle, we see the mighty Blue Mouse in the lead. We see the pivot into Alligator. Vince farms up, throws the Hydro Cannon. The resisted Hydro Cannon doesn't do all that much damage, but these Shadow Claws are really starting to add up. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent fire off the Poliwrath. Poliwrath does a solid chunk of chip damage, but we're able to hang on, and these bubbles are resisted. The opponent is going to have a tough time of bubble farming us down for Alligator. Also incredibly spammy, only taking 5 Shadow Claws to each charge move. The opponent actually then sent out Snorlax. The opponent very slow on the switch. I don't know why you wouldn't just send out Snorlax instantly when we pivoted, but these are early rank. Of course, we are in week number 1, so players obviously have all sorts of different abilities. Vince farms up, full sends a close combat. Close combat goes unshielded. Get that Snorlax out of here. Vince then looks to reset his debuff, pivoting out into Hippowdon, but Hippowdon looks pretty dead weight as the opponent has 2 water types remaining. With no Scorching Sands, we can't really hit Jellicent for any decent damage. The rock type Weather Ball doesn't do all that much. It looks like Vince looking to completely sack Hippowdon, but the opponent, being very horny for debuffs, is running Bubble Beam, which of course is objectively better for us as it doesn't do very much damage despite being super effective. The opponent fire off yet another Bubble Beam. Hippowdon able to withstand the damage and reach yet another rock type Weather Ball. My gosh, these shadows are so spammy. The rock type weather ball isn't quite lethal. We then pivot back out into Gallade, fire off the Leaf Blade secures the knockout. Back out comes Azumarill. Azumarill is going to fire off a charge move. Again, that is a mistake, as we have a Protect Shield remaining. The win con for the opponent would be to bubble farm us down. Gallade reaches the Leaf Blade, and we manage to take that game. In the next battle, we see yet another Azumarill. Azumarill seem to be like buses. You wait forever to see one, and then bang, two come along at the same time. Again, we see their pivot into Feraligatr. We're going to look to spam off these resisted Hydro Cannons and rely on our Shadow Claw damage to start chunking the opponent. The opponent going to return fire with the Poliwrath. Wait, is this the same battle? Please tell me I haven't been a potato and left the same battle in. No, Jamie Finn, sort your act out. You're supposed to be a professional. Whew, that isn't the same battle as this time. The opponent doesn't catch on Snorlax. Hydro Cannon secures the knockout. The opponent then send out Sableye. Vince, when he was playing these battles, probably let off a sigh of relief, much like I did when I realised I didn't shoutcast the same battle twice. Very happy to see Sableye on the battlefield as Gallade doesn't fancy the smoke. Is having no Scorching Sands gonna cost us here? Vince farms up, baiting the Scorching Sands, forcing a protection with the rock type weather ball. This is the thing, if you're going to run shadows, people are quite petrified of the damage output, so sometimes running spammy moves, as long as you fake it till you make it, you can get away with not having the nuke. Vince forced to invest his final Protect Shield, looking to get rid of Sableye with Hippowdon, as our Psycho Cuts would be double resisted due to Dark double resisting Psychic. The opponent's final Pokemon is Skeledirge, and this surely isn't winnable. Vince fires off the Leaf Blade, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Okay, they'll give us a chance. Vince fires off one further Leaf Blade. However, the opponent looks to the full Incinerate farm down, which was completely unnecessary. Gallade refuses to die, reaches the Leaf Blade, and Vince pulls off the dub. Well played. Heading into the final battle of today's showcase, we see Hippowdon into Togekiss, a Pokemon you more commonly see in the Ultra League and the Master League. Togekiss are very, very glassy in the Great League due to only being around level 15. Vince forced a Protect Shield with the first rock type weather ball. The second one lands, and you can see Togekiss's lack of bulk as that did huge damage. Vince now sends out Feraligatr. I think this is a safe shield. Togekiss only going to reach one move. The opponent full send the Aura Spear. Vince now going to get a very nice Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent now send out Latias, and this is of course no response. They're part Psychic. These Shadow Claws are going to hit for super effective. Vince YOLOs the Ice Beam. The opponent invests their final Protect Shield. It looks like Vince is going to be unable to reach the second Ice Beam. Settles for the Hydro Cannon. The resisted Hydro Cannon nearly knocks out. We get the Simul KO. It's now Gallade versus Zangoose. The opponent should top left because this Zangoose is about to be sent 6 feet under. Vince shields up the Night Slash, returns fire with the close combat, and all of Zangoose's family members are about to have an invite to its funeral in the post, and Vince takes the dub. Huge shout out to Vince for running a very fun, very spammy triple shadow team. I think that is exactly how you're supposed to run shadows. I know a lot of other content creators show a lot of nonsense fast move pressure like Confusion, Razor Leaf, Shadow Charm, etc. However, that isn't the correct way of using them. With good fast move timing, good energy management, and good knowledge of the count, you can go all the way to Legend using very glassy, very squishy, triple shadows relying upon charge move pressure. I've personally been able to hit Legend 6 times using that magic formula, and let me tell you, it is so incredibly fun. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles, like Vince had featured on my channel, a link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.